All right, so this is just a real. I want to just give you a quick demo of what what you're going to be building for this weekend. So basically, this is going to be the same application that you had before, but there's going to be a couple of variations. So a few things that I want you to notice here. First of all, it looks pretty much the same, but I want you to see that when I end up going to a different category, I have an integer instead of a name. And the reason for that is that I'm actually storing my data inside of a database. And in fact, if I go to my Postgres and I open up pSQL and I connect to my Acme DB, I could see my two tables. And if I select, star from categories, I could see that I've got my categories. If I select star from products, I could see that I have my products. So in this case here, here's my spyware. I could delete this Tumblr. And this is probably an orphan record that I have here because I don't have referential integrity. So let me just get rid of it. I'm just going to say truncate products. So here's my spyware. I could delete my spyware. So again, you see that you have an ID. Here's the ID for spyware. If I go over here and I add another, and I add a product, spyware, Tumblr, I'll see that that'll end up getting added. And also, right now my products have an ID. So my routes are going to be a little bit different in the sense that, let's see if I could just show you this real quick. My routes are going to be a bit different. So we're going to have routes that look like this, categories, and it's going to be an ID instead of a category name. And when we go to our products, we'll have, or when we're going to insert a product or delete a product, we'll have categories, the ID, products, and if we were going to delete a product, then we would have the ID of the product. So our route would probably look more like this. Category ID, and if we're going to delete, we're going to pass in we could either just put ID here or product ID. So you're going to have the same number of routes that you have now. The only difference is that instead of actually accessing them from this hash, you're actually going to access them using Postgres and accessing them from a database. So I could go in here and I could end up adding a category, and I can insert it, and then I'll have my new category. And again, same sort of functionality here. I could delete my category, and it ends up taking me back to the home page. So there's going to be a bit more work in your routes because you're going to have to deal with things asynchronously. So just as an idea of the things that are a little bit different, when you end up going here, you have the ID for the category. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to get all the products for that category. So that's pretty simple. There's no real joins that you have to do. But the thing that does get tricky is that if you want to display the name of the category, then there's two queries that you need to run. You need to get your category by ID, and you need to get your products that have that category ID. So that's kind of where the tricky part comes in. In terms of our database object, in terms of the methods themselves, the only thing that I really had to add was a connect method. And the only other one that I did add, which we didn't have before because we didn't need, was get category. And that's going to be, again, fairly straightforward. You're going to have an ID for the category in your route. You're going to basically call a method here, and this is going to be asynchronous. You'll end up calling it with a callback. And again, you're going to connect to your Postgres database. You're going to run your query, and you're going to pass back the category that you get. So that's about the extent of it. I didn't end up deploying this because I have to deploy it to figure out, how it's a little bit more complicated when you're deploying an application to Heroku that has a database. I wasn't quite sure how to do it, but this is the basic functionality. And again, big difference is that your routes, instead of, for instance, when you are, and I can actually just show you this here, if I open this up, and we look at our network tab, when I go to delete a product, I'm not passing in the, you could look at this, I'm not passing in the index of the product because I don't need to. What I have is the ID of the product, and I could delete right from the products table. So that's the big difference. So that's what I want you to work on. I guess what I would start with here, I don't think you necessarily have to do the test-driven development with this. I think what I would sort of start with is, populating some data in your database and seeing that you could display it, and then you could start working on the inserting and deleting, and if we wanted to get more complicated, we could end up doing updating as well. But again, I didn't really want to increase the number of routes that we have. So you could pretty much look at the solution that we had previously and utilize those routes. It wouldn't be the worst idea to sort of build it out from scratch, again, to just sort of get a better idea of all the different moving parts that you have here. Anyway, good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.